Hello, I can't do any work. Type 1 diabetes.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to our DigiTalks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name's Michelle and I'm a member of the DigiBete team. And I'd like to welcome the wonderful team at Medtronic. Medtronic are our DigiTalks tonight. We're looking forward to hearing lots of great conversations. So a huge thank you to them for this evening. Tonight's event is part of the Tech Series, and this is the fourth. We've been having lots of great conversations with those in the type 1 diabetes community. You can see on the screen all the different conversations, and we've heard from Dr. Fiona Campbell and Professor Partha Carr as they've given us a national picture of what diabetes tech is and hybrid closed loop. So there's lots of great information and conversations. So do take a look. And tonight's event will also, you can rewatch at the end as well. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to all our technology partners. As you can see on the screen, we have Medtronic, Dexcom, Omnipod, Abbott, Gluco, and Air Liquide. You can find all the information about each of these partners on our DigiBete website. So if you'd like to learn more, please do go take a look. So as tonight is all about Medtronic, you'll see it's an event for everyone, for young people, families, children, carers, parents, teachers, everyone. So please do spread the word, and we hope you enjoy tonight. You can watch it live through our different streaming channels, and also you can come through on our DigiBete DigiTalk site, and you can come and join us on the live chat if you go through there and meet the wonderful Medtronic team that are just waiting to hear your wonderful questions. So please join us there. You will find out lots about Medtronic tonight, but you can also find out more on the DigiBete website. We've got a Medtronic page dedicated to all information about their CGMs and hybrid closed loop. There's a QR code on the screen, as you can see, so take a look and that will take you to the Medtronic page on DigiBete. There's also a QR code there as well for the Medtronic website as well. So please do take a look for any other information you'd like to get. And I'm sure we'll put some links in the chat as well. So what's coming up tonight? So lots of lovely stuff. First off, we're going to hear about Medtronic from Emma, who's from Medtronic. She'll also be in the live chat with the team. So I'll introduce you to her shortly. We'll also be hearing from some brilliant Medtronic ambassadors, young people and young adults. And we'll also be signposting you to lots of resources that are on DigiBete and with our wonderful partners, Breakthrough T1D and Diabetes UK. So there's lots of information, help and support that we can be showing you tonight. So as mentioned, we will be hearing from the Medtronic ambassadors. You'll see on the screen, we're going to be, my colleague Tom is going to be speaking to the wonderful Seren, who lives with type 1 diabetes, and her dad, Jay. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation, as we'll also then be speaking with Isha a little bit later. Again, Sam, my other colleague, will be chatting to Isha, and we'll be hearing about all their lived experience and how Medtronic diabetes tech has helped their journey. So do stay tuned. Before we get into this as well, we'd love to hear from you guys. I can see there's already some lovely comments coming through. Please do introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello to the Medtronic team, and do feel free to ask questions, and we'll try and get some up on the screen as we go through the event. We do have up on the screen, you can see we have our DigiTalks values. If you'd like to learn more about these values, it's a safe, inclusive place. Do go to our website to learn a bit more about what these values are. So how to get involved. So you can watch the event here through your mobile, on your laptop. As I've mentioned before, if you go through our website, you can actually join the chat live, and also through our different streaming platforms. So you can join in lots of different ways and catch up on the recordings afterwards too. Also, if you'd like to find out more about who DigiBete are and what kind of help and support is out there, we have a website full of resources, stories from people in the type 1 diabetes community, lots of information about diabetes technology, and as mentioned, information about Medtronic technology as well. We have an app. You can get the code from your clinic, and the content on your app, it's got lots of resources on there. It's like to help support you and your family, and the content will be put to your age, so you'll get all the content that's relevant and helpful to you. We've got loads of great new stuff that's on there. There's some stuff, the Coping with Diabetes tool for young people to help support you on your journey, and we have a new Connect button for helping with peer support, and lots of information and help on there. So please do contact your clinic and get your code. And if you'd like to contact the team directly, please do reach out to us. You can see on the screen, you can contact us at hello@digibete.org. And finally, we're just to let you know, we're doing a technology survey and we'd love to hear from all of you. So please do scan that QR code if you can, or we'll put a link in the chat as well throughout. We'd love to hear your experience of diabetes technology, the kind of tech you're using, and that will help us at DigiBete to give you the resources, to give future resources that are more helpful and keep continuing to give you the stuff that the community needs. So please do fill that in. Thank you so much. Right. Okay. So let's get started. So tonight, as I say, we've got lots going on. I think, we just realised we're just going to see some comments have come up here. So hello, Julie and Rowan. Lovely to see you there. Mason here said, I can't wait to hear about Medtronic. I'm on injections and it'd be good to hear about their technology. I tell you what, you're in for a treat. You're going to find out lots tonight. And from Charlie, hi all, we have a T1D now, 12-month-old baby, currently on the 740G. So interested to hear about any new advancemes. Yes, no, it'll be great. You'll hear lots. And just to say, I'm a parent to someone with type 1, and I hope you're doing good and getting lots of support. And then we hear hoping to learn lots tonight. We're hoping to move my 7-year-old onto this pump. Great. Yes, I'm sure you're going to get lots and lots of information. As I say, if you find that you've got questions throughout, do go into the chat. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to hand you over to the lovely Emma at Medtronic. Over to you, Emma.
Hello, my name's Emma and I work in the training and education team here at Medtronic Diabetes. Thank you for joining this session, and thank you also to DigiBete for inviting me to introduce to you the MiniMed 780G system with SmartGuard feature before I hand over to our ambassadors, who will tell you much more about how it works for them. As a bit of a background, before joining Medtronic, I was a children's diabetes dietitian. Lots of the families that I worked with found carbohydrate counting really tricky. If you also feel this way, SmartGuard feature could help you because it anticipates, adapts and adjusts according to your glucose levels. So even if you make a mistake in your carb counting, the system will deliver less or more insulin to stop those glucose changes from happening so much. So if we look at that in more detail, here we can see a sensor glucose trace at the bottom of the screen over the daytime period. As a bit of an example for you. The SmartGuard feature is the automatic insulin delivery feature, and it aims to keep your sensor glucose between the international consensus time in range target of 3.9 to 10 millimoles. So you have fewer highs and fewer lows. So this is international consensus. It's not a Medtronic thing. It's for most people with type 1 diabetes, and we're aiming for 70% of time in range. And how it works is it matches your insulin needs as your sensor glucose changes. All the adjustments are made by the SmartGuard feature based on your current sensor glucose value and some prediction in some cases. There's a default target of 5.5 millimoles. If you're worried about that, please don't worry. If you think that's a little bit low for you, particularly when you first start, there are alternative targets of 6.1 or 6.7, and it's worth having a chat with your diabetes team to decide which is best for you, particularly in the first few weeks while you're getting used to it and getting some confidence with it. So it provides automatic basal adjustments that we can see here in the green lines, and these are known as auto basal every 5 minutes. If your sensor glucose is starting to rise, it can also provide auto corrections on top of the auto basal. So we can see these as the blue lines when they're needed. So because it does it every 5 minutes and it's aiming to reach your glucose target that you've decided to set, it means that your sensor glucose is likely to get near a target quicker than any other system, because no other system can do it every 5 minutes. So that's the auto basal and the auto correction. The auto corrections will only happen if your glucose is above 6.7 and still rising. The really good thing is something called meal detection feature. So you can see on the right of the graph that the algorithm is programmed to know when you have just eaten and maybe forgotten to bolus, or you've underestimated your carbs. and it sets that safety limit for the max basal and the autocorrection slightly higher. So it's above your usual max basal amount that the algorithm decides daily for you, and that helps to correct those highs. So the meal detection feature will help to avoid high sugars, particularly after eating, but there is also safe meal bolus to prevent low sugars. So if the system decides that you are likely to be hypoglycemic in the next 2 to 4 hours, depending on what it's looking at, it may well reduce your mealtime bolus to prevent that happening. The really clever bit was a study that was done a couple of years ago now that led to something called simplified meal management. So in this study, they took 2 groups of teenagers. One group accurately carb counted, and the second group had some fixed amounts. So they were told to enter carbs, a certain amount of carbs for a snack, a small meal, and a large meal. So 3 different carb amounts depending on the size of your meal. The really interesting thing about this was that in both groups they achieved over 70% time in range. So you can see that even if you are just only able to guess, if you're eating out or somebody else has prepared the meal, then you can still get really good after meal sensor traces. It's worth having a chat with your diabetes team about this if you think it would be useful, because there is a calculation as a result of this study that we can use to decide what those fixed amounts are. And as a dietitian, I have to say, obviously, it'd be much better if you can accurately carb count. That's how you get the highest time in range, but at least you've got a backup for those meals that might be a little bit more tricky. The next thing I want to talk about is sleep. So how often is your sleep interrupted because of highs or lows, or other things, needing to have to go to the toilet more often, or feeling thirsty, treating hypos, alerts and alarms, and so on. So we know that all of our users, so again, another study to back this up, see a difference in their sleep for the better. Because you get more time in range, it can be really more, it can fill you with a bit more confidence to sleep through the night. And our real world data shows that there's an average of 82% time in range during the night, particularly with those optimal settings I talked about earlier. So we would look at the 5.5 millimole target. And the other thing that we recommend is an active insulin time of 2 hours, which for some of you might seem quite short, but we know that that's how the system works best. So you get fewer overnight sleep interruptions from alerts and alarms, and from highs and lows. The last thing that I wanted to talk about with this system is obviously concentrating on fewer lows. And I know that very often people worry about hypos. They may affect your daily routine, might limit some of the activities that you do. And going back to that international consensus, I've said about the 70% time in range, but we don't want to be 30% hypo, do we? So what the recommendation for this is that you aim for at least 4% or less of sensor glucose readings below 3.9. And if you're using those optimal settings with SmartGuard feature, our evidence shows that time below range is less than 2%. So actually you're half of what that recommendation is. And with those optimal settings, you can get that 80% time in range throughout the 24-hour period. So obviously you will be having less highs and lows, and it works in a really similar way to cruise control. A lot of people use that kind of analogy, where it gives you more insulin when you need it most and less insulin when you don't, all the way through the day and night. All of these things together will give you greater confidence around meal times. So you'll get better sleep quality, lower levels of worry about your sensor glucoses, and the SmartGuard feature will adapt all the way through the day and night, helping you with eating, sleeping, worrying. The final thing that I just want to quickly talk about is some of the support that we can offer you from Medtronic. And in my role, I'm very involved in developing materials, resources for you to try and support you before, during and after your first training. And we have something quite new called the WeCare app, which is quick access to anything you need to support you with your new system. So you have to spend less time thinking about your diabetes. With all the self-help tools, you can get access to education, personalised data, instant ordering of replacements. So if your belt clip broke, for example, you could order one through the app. You can also use the app to register to our Start Right programme. So when you start on your new therapy, you'll want to be as independent as you can as soon as possible. Our Start Right specialists will help you to learn everything you need to know about your new device, so you'll be able to access online education, you'll get notifications of anything new, there's educational content and videos on diabetes related topics, and this will last usually 3 months, with you getting regular updates from us and usually a couple of calls from our Start Right specialists. Obviously these aren't things that you necessarily need to do, but people have reported that it is very helpful. I know that some of our ambassadors will probably talk about some of the other apps when they speak later. And just while I'm finishing up here, there's some of those references that I refer to if you were interested in looking at those. I just wanted to thank DigiBete again and hand over to our ambassadors for their views on using the system. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Emma. No, that was really, really useful and helpful to see all that. So as I've mentioned, please do chat to Emma in the comments. She is here live. So yeah, please do that. Thank you once again. Okay, so moving on, as Emma also mentioned, we're going to be meeting some of the wonderful ambassadors that are joining us tonight. We're going to be hearing from Seren, who has type 1 diabetes, and her dad, Jay. And I'm going to hand you over to the very capable hands of Tom, my colleague, who's going to be chatting with them now. Over to you, Tom.
Hi Seren, hi Jay, welcome to DigiTalks, and thank you for coming along tonight and talking about Medtronic. How are you both? Welcome to DigiTalks.
Good to see you, Tom. Yeah, this is good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So let's kick off. What is your name? What is your connection? And how long have you been living with type 1, Seren?
I'm Seren. I was diagnosed when I was 8, turning 9. And so I've been living with diabetes for about 5 years now.
So yeah, I'm Seren's dad and have been living with diabetes for exactly the same amount of time, because that's the way that time works.
So can you guys share with us a little bit about when you were diagnosed, Seren, and what symptoms did you have? Do you remember any early memories or stories you wish to share tonight with the community watching?
Yeah, I can remember that I was in the hospital on my 9th birthday, and it was over the weekend, and there was just nothing to do. And so the nurses gifted me a Guess Who board game, so I could play that, and that was just lovely. And it was just really nice to have some positivity while I was just diagnosed. For symptoms, I remember that I was at a karate class, and then at karate, like, you're not meant to say whether you're tired or not. And so my sensei kept asking me, "Are you tired? Like, are you okay?" And I was going, "No," because I'm not meant to. And he's like, "No, like, honestly, are you okay?" And I was just so tired, and I just remember I was exhausted, and I sat out. And I was a lot thinner. I needed to drink water all the time. I remember I went through like 3 flasks of water, like, straight away. I always needed to go to the toilet. I just wasn't myself, and I was just so exhausted. And so then my parents thought something was wrong and went to the doctors, and then I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
I was quite lucky that at work, I worked in a relatively small team that had 2 T1Ds. And so I was very aware of the symptoms to be able to look for and all of those kind of things. But really, it was just the incessant thirst. There's nothing else really around that. And so my wife and I were, we were kind of talking about it in the days leading up to it, each day, just kind of going, this isn't any good. And so we just made the decision that we were going to take her into the doctor. So we went into the walk-in centre. They then sent her straight to A&E. It wasn't the best experience because we were never told that she had type 1 diabetes, and the doctor who was seeing us jumped straight into talking to us about ketones, which of course wasn't something that we really knew anything about. And so because the news was good about ketones, because we hadn't let her get to an advanced stage, he said it's really good news. And so my wife went, "Oh, brilliant. We thought she had type 1 diabetes." He went, "Oh, well, she's got that, but her ketones are low." You know, if you could choose a way to be told, then that wouldn't be on the list. You know, and I think it was just it was quite difficult. She hadn't kind of, you know, you hear stories from other T1Ds about you know, getting into DKA, and we didn't have anything along those kind of lines to deal with, but yeah, it was difficult because it was she went in on a Friday, and and all the diabetic staff were either off sick or at a conference, and so we couldn't have her seen. And then there was a Saturday and a Sunday during which her birthday happened, and there was nobody available to be able to see us then. And then we got through to the Monday when she was able to be seen, and it was really when we saw the diabetic nurse specialists that suddenly everything started to make sense, and we started to feel like, okay, now we've got information here. The staff in the pediatric wards don't really know much. You know, it always strikes me that you've got a child who's just been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and when the meals are brought round, they ask whether you want to have sugar, and there's, you know, nobody knows you know, what to do when they're presented with a T1D, and so that's a bit difficult. But I mean, she finished off the week fantastically, and I think this really set the scene for her in terms of how she went forward. She was discharged from hospital, and we immediately went down to the South Coast, where she was due to compete in the Karate World Championships. We went ahead and did that. And she won 2 world championships. So within a week of being diagnosed with T1D, she had managed to win these world championships. And I think that really made her just kind of feel like, well, type 1 diabetes isn't going to slow me down. It's not going to be able to stop me from doing what I need to do. And so she just always had that kind of mindset that she would be able to achieve what she wanted to achieve. And the diabetes would just have to be dealt with on the way.
I think that's incredible, guys. I think positive mindset. You're absolute superstars, both of you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's lovely to hear that conversation. We are going to go back to Tom, Sarah and Jay. But yeah, we've got lots more to come. I mean, that is just such a lovely conversation, especially from us parents. But I'm just going to take some comments here that have come up onto the screen. So yeah, do you agree? Yeah, wow, Sarah, what an incredible achievement, winning at the World Championships, inspirational. I know, yeah, it still blows my mind that she could do that. Well done, Sarah. So awesome from Maddie. Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, it is an amazing achievement. So we are going to go back to them, but just before we do that, we're just going to show you a wonderful film from Medtronic about Blue Balloon. So do take a look, and I'll tell you a little bit more on how you can raise awareness yourself after following this.
Living with type 1 diabetes
is like doing everything you do in your daily life
while keeping a balloon in the air.
It's a constant balancing act.
It can be a lot for one person to handle.
So I feel lucky to have a sister.
A partner is there for me if I need them.
She's tuned into the tiny signs that my blood sugar is low. Confusion, slow speech, even how I walk. Things I could miss when I'm in it.
She'll make sure we've got juice by the bed before going to sleep, in case my blood sugar goes low during the night. She even helped convince the kids not to steal it.
I love how she carries jelly babies in her handbag when we're out and about, just in case my blood sugar level goes low.
We travel lighter than before when we go on holiday, so there's room in our bags for my diabetes kit.
Insulin pens, infusion sets, and glucose sensors. The support of my partner in these little daily changes helps make managing my diabetes easier.
She's there, day and night.
When my doctor or my nurse can't be.
There's no one I trust more.
He's more than just my partner.
She's my rock. And she's been behind me the whole time.
Gets me every time. I love that. I absolutely love that. So yeah, as I say, it's a Blue Balloon Challenge. It's a great way to raise awareness, and you'll see our lovely little DigiBot in the corner there with a QR code. And I know that links have been put in the chat as well. So for families and young people, there's and young adults as well, there's lots of wonderful resources on how to help raise awareness at school using the Blue Balloon Challenge. And there's resources on there, so do take a look. It's a really wonderful way to raise awareness. Thank you. So now we're going to head back to Tom, Seren and Jay.
What made you choose Medtronic hybrid closed loop therapy, and what CGM and pump are you using or have you used, Seren?
I didn't actually want to choose the Medtronic hybrid closed loop because I just hated the idea of something being attached to me all the time. Yeah. I just didn't want to have the tubing, and I didn't want to have just this like really big thing just on me. But then my dad convinced me. He was saying that he thought it was the best for me. And I'm so glad that I listened to him, because I honestly think that the Medtronic hybrid closed loop has just been amazing for me. My blood sugars are so well managed, and it's nice that I don't have to worry about my diabetes as much.
The main reasons why we chose it is that the consultant told us that that the Medtronic 780G was able to give the smallest increments of bolus, and she said that's really, really key, because what you want, the human pancreas is giving the tiniest little amounts on a constant basis, and that's why people don't tend to go hypo if they don't have T1D. If you are only able to give I'm not sure what it would be, but a quarter of a unit, then if a quarter of a unit is too much, then you're going to send yourself hypo. And so because Medtronic has got the smallest increments, it means that it is the most like a human pancreas. And so that was absolutely huge for me. The other thing is that Medtronic is the only company that offers both the CGM and the pump. And it means that if there's ever a conflict, there's one company who I can go off and speak to and say, there's an issue between the CGM and the pump. And I just always imagined that if we'd gone with a combination of a CGM maker and a pump maker, if they said, oh, well, actually, everything's okay on the CGM side, you need to speak to the other company, and the other company said, well, everything's okay over here, we're suddenly in a situation where there's nobody who is actually going to be ultimately responsible. And then the final thing is that Medtronic don't use disties or distributors in the UK. And so when you're speaking to Medtronic, you're actually speaking to people who work for Medtronic, not working for a company who have a contract with another supplier. And so those were the main things. The tubing anxiety is understandable, but it isn't actually that bad. And just the increments and the fact that everything is all under one roof and you're able to speak to people. And there have been occasions where we have needed to speak to Medtronic, and we've been able to speak to somebody at the appropriate level of seniority very quickly. And so that is, in terms of a parent's peace of mind, knowing that you can trust Medtronic is really important to me.
I think that's absolutely great, isn't it? And I think for everyone, it's personal choice of, hopefully people have access to a wide range of different therapies, but in your case it's doing your homework and checking and choosing the pump that's right for you. And in your case, Seren, particularly the features you mentioned, and it's really helpful, and especially because how active you are as well with them increments. So brilliant, thank you for sharing some insights. What CGM are you using? What pump, what model of Medtronic are you using?
I'm using the Simplera Sync and I'm using the Medtronic 780G. But before I was on the Simplera, I was on the Guardian Sensor 4.
Yep.
And before that, I was on the Guardian Sensor 3. So I've been through 3 of them, and I think they just keep getting better. Like the Simplera, it's like amazing. You don't have to put any tape on it, which I really think that's amazing. And it also looks nicer. It doesn't get any of like clothes caught on it, and so it looks quite nice. And so it's like I don't mind having it showing because I think this looks quite cool. Honestly, I think it's really nice.
Where do you wear your Medtronic CGM and pump?
So at school today, I generally wear it clipped into my skirt, just underneath my jumper. I think it's the comfiest, and also it's just not in the way that way, and so I don't have to worry about hitting it on anything. When I'm playing sports, when I'm doing hockey, I'll wear it in about like this, and so the pump can just go inside, and I just have that like around my back, and so then it's out of the way and it's not a risk of getting hit. I will also wear it in a Warrior Hill shirt, which is just the pump rests in the shirt on like the top of my back, and that's also quite good, and it's just comfortable, and so I don't have to worry about my pump being hit by a hockey stick or anything like that.
You know what I like, Sarah, is that you've got options. You don't have to have it just in one place, and that's it, you know. So having that flexibility is key, I guess, isn't it? That freedom to change it and adjust it to your lifestyle, whatever you're doing, whether at school or whether you're out with friends or you're doing sports activities. So I think that sort of freedom to wear it in different places, I think that's great. What is it like when you first started using Medtronic, and how does using the Smart Guide feature help you and your everyday diabetes management?
I mean, it was a massive change. I didn't like it at first. I just wanted to like tear the cannula off. I just hated the idea of having it clipped into me. I was like, I just can't, I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle this. I don't know how I'm going to live just with this massive thing on me. But I got used to it quite quickly, and it just, when I started feeling better because I had the extra control from the closed loop system, I just realized that my quality of life is way better than it was before. And I didn't have to worry so much about my diabetes, and I could go back to focusing on just doing what I loved.
When we made the decision to go for Medtronic hybrid closed loop, I actually found that day more difficult than even the diagnosis, because I basically just said, you've got to trust me, this is the right thing to do. It was I felt very, very alone, kind of saying this is going to be the right thing. And so when the advantages started happening so quickly, it was just absolutely amazing. Smart Guard is fantastic. If you just have an insulin pump, then it's a little bit like sticking a car on cruise control. And now on an empty motorway, traveling along at 65, 70 miles per hour is great. But if you find that there is traffic ahead of you, then just with normal cruise control, you will crash into the back of that traffic. And what the hybrid closed loop does, it's a little bit more like cars nowadays, where it's got sensors and it will slow the car down automatically. And then if it clears, then it will speed up again. And it just means that you don't have to constantly look at the speedo, because the hybrid closed loop is driving itself. And so that's absolutely huge. I remember before she went onto it, there was a point when, she was kind of 9 years old, and an ice cream van came around to our house, so it kind of stopped in our street. All the children went running out there, and it was absolutely fine for Sarah and her brother to have an ice cream, except for the fact that I had just given her the injection of the insulin that I calculated that she needed for the meal that we were going to have in about another 15 minutes. And so I had to say to her, I can't work it out. I can't do the calculation. I'm afraid that we'd have insulin stacking. And so she just stood there as all of the children in the street had an ice cream, and she couldn't do anything about it. That's never happened since we had the hybrid closed loop, because it gives you all the data points to be able to make a decision. So not just what the blood glucose reading is within the last 5 minutes, but you know what it was previously. And because it plots it on a graph, you're able to see, well, actually right now you are going low, which means, yes, you'll be able to have it. And because it also tells you your active insulin, so it tells you how much insulin the pump has already given you over the last couple of hours, you're also able to work out whether or not some more insulin would be too much insulin. And so it just means that at every point of every day, we have enough information to be able to allow her to be able to have spontaneity with food choices. What is your favorite feature of using Medtronic hybrid closed loop, and why?
I would probably have to say the fact that it connects to my iPhone and my Apple Watch, because I don't have to get my pump out at school. I can just glance at my watch whenever I want to see what my blood sugars are, which is really helpful in hockey, like in any sport really. And then when I'm at school, because if I have a supply teacher that doesn't really understand about diabetes, they might be like, what's that? Why have you got your phone out? And it's just annoying to have to go through that and to have to explain it. And so the fact that I can just glance down at my wrist and I know what my blood sugars are, how much insulin I have, whether they're going up or down, is just really helpful.
CareLink is just fantastic. So we are able to see what her blood glucose is, and it makes a huge difference. Now that she's able to just surreptitiously glance at her watch, it makes a huge difference. And as an extra layer of safety, if I notice that that she's going high or going low, I just send her a quick text, just saying, treat predicted hypo, and then she acknowledges that, and then I can see the little bolus go on there. So I think the main thing is just making it so that diabetes isn't the main event of her life. It's something that has to be factored in, but she doesn't. There's no kind of point where this is all about the diabetes, and then you have to try and fit life in around it, which is what it was before. Now it's all about her life, and you have to fit diabetes management around it. What about you, from your point, Sarah? How do you find that? Do you find it helpful that your parents can follow your levels and talk to you, or like your dad just said, like text you and stuff like that? How does that help you?
I mean, I think it's just about having the freedom and not feeling so alone with it, because when I couldn't share like what my blood sugars were, and even when I didn't have the closed loop, I just thought, this is on me. I have to take care of this. But now I just know that I can take a back seat, and that my dad will send me a treat your predicted hypo text like he did today. And that my pump will alert me before I'm actually low. And so then it just doesn't affect me as much, and it's just really helpful.
Yeah, it's having other people, and in your case, your family, who've got your back, who can see your levels and help in any way. And from a parent's perspective, Jay, is that you can monitor levels overnight, and you're not having to go in and like you talked about finger pricking before, you're not having to go in every half an hour or whatever to check levels. Oh, absolutely. I mean, before she went on to the CGM, she had a flash glucose monitor, and it was so difficult to sleep, because if you kind of came to in the night and you're thinking, oh, I wonder how her bloods are, you'd never forgive yourself if you didn't get up and go and check. And so my wife and I would just always get up and go and check. And quite often you'd go and have a look at it, and it would say 5.5. And you'd be like, oh, okay, great. So no treatment needed. But that was just the point in time. So it's like 5.5. If it was 5.5 and an hour ago it was 10.5, then that would tell you nowadays with the CGM, you've got to do something. But we just used to find ourselves uselessly getting up and checking her. And the other thing with flash glucose is that because you have to stick your phone up to it, somehow she always knew to lie on her on her monitor arm, and so you'd also disturb her just by trying to get access to the monitor to be able to take a reading. Quality of sleep is really important, isn't it? So having this amazing technology is really great. That it can notify you, it's got the alarm features, it's really helping you, and you're not having to micromanage and go every half an hour, like you say. We've talked about diabetes technology. We've talked about how Medtronic has evolved over time, which is fantastic for you guys, but for other people as well. But in terms of the future, what diabetes technologies would you love to see developed in the future, and how do you think it'll help you, Sarah and Jay, but also others who are living with type 1 diabetes?
I mean, I think it would be amazing if there was a feature where you could bolus from your phone, because sometimes my pump's not always on hand. It might be in my SBI belt, or it might just be in my pocket, and I might have my phone out because I normally do. So it would be amazing if I could just go onto the app and just put in how many carbohydrates something was, and then I could just bolus from there. I think that would be really cool.
Sarah's got an app on her watch that tells her what her blood glucose is. That's only available for the patient. An app that that caregivers were also able to see on their watches would be great, because maybe not to Sarah's extent, but it's not always convenient for me to get my my phone out. Sometimes it would be great if I could just glance at my watch. The really, really big thing that would make a difference is as Bluetooth standards get better, a bigger range. What we tend to find now is that the signal goes from Sarah's arm to her pump, which is usually around her waist, and then from her pump to her phone, which is usually on the sidelines of a hockey pitch. Now, hockey pitch, rugby pitch, and the current Bluetooth range is about half of the width of a pitch. And so what that means is that if she's playing left midfield for the first half of the match, then we've got her bloods and we know exactly what's going on. When the second half starts, she then becomes out of range. And so if she kind of crosses halfway across the pitch, then suddenly we're left 45 minutes not being able to see what her bloods are. And so I'd really love to see the Bluetooth range increase, so that she doesn't have to be right there. If she's swimming, then being able to have her pump outside of the pool would be absolutely fantastic. Right now, if she goes swimming and she takes her pump off, then we have to make sure that the pump is really, really close, and you're afraid that people are going to kick it. And so increased Bluetooth range is something that it sounds boring, but it would make a huge, huge difference to how reliable it is when you can't have everything all on her person at the same time.
You're obviously Medtronic ambassadors, and I know how passionate you guys are. You've done incredible things on your own social medias as well. How did you get involved in becoming a Medtronic ambassador? How have you found it, and would you recommend it to others?
I got involved because I just wanted to be able to help people and to be able to give them peace of mind, because I saw how confusing I found it when I first got diagnosed. And I didn't really know about the different technology or anything. So I just thought if I could help people by telling them what's out there and by telling them that there's more than one possibility and more than one way that they can manage their diabetes, and that they can still do whatever they wanted to. They could still do sports. They could still do whatever they wanted, whether they had diabetes or not, or whether they had tubing or not. So I just really wanted to be able to help people.
We put some of the advice that that Sarah was giving and I was giving to the parents up onto her Instagram page, and so she basically said, it beats me why I got diabetes, and so she called herself out at beats_me, and put the hashtag T1D won't beat me, and we basically just put some stuff showing stuff that she was able to do despite having diabetes, and just a little bit about what it's like to have diabetes. And that was spotted by somebody in Medtronic, and they were doing a campaign called the Blue Balloon Campaign. And they asked whether she would be prepared to go off and do that. And so she did it. And she really enjoyed it as well, especially because it was helping people. She realizes that she's able to deal with the symptoms of diabetes in a way that's quite lucky compared to some other people, and so it's nice for her to be able to give back. So she just keeps on getting more opportunities such as this one to be able to kind of go out there and say, look, you know, it's not great news when you get a T1D diagnosis, but it's far from the end of the world.
And our last question, guys, is what final advice would you give to other children and families who are living with diabetes?
I mean, obviously, if anybody's seeing this, then they've already discovered DigiBete. I think that for us, it was really difficult to be able to find information out. Nobody told us that DigiBete existed. I'm not sure 5 years ago how much DigiBete did exist, but gosh, how we could have done with the resources that DigiBete offers. It's absolutely fantastic. Don't panic. It can be really, really overwhelming, and especially when your child ends up kind of getting that diabetes fatigue, and it's just like, I can't be bothered to do another finger prick. I can't be bothered to look at another reading. I can't be bothered to calculate another bolus. I'm done with it. That overwhelm transfers itself to the parents to a huge degree, and so use the community, because everybody who's got diabetes is having to go through all of this. I think don't be embarrassed about having diabetes. We still meet every now and again people who will spot Seren's pump and her CGM, loud and proud. Sometimes she puts little stickers on them, and there are people who still feel like they want to hide it all away because it's somehow embarrassing. It's not. The diabetes community is a wonderful community of people who are going through something where they just totally get it, and so speak to people as much as possible. Use resources like DigiBete to be able to find out what's going on, and always ask a question. Don't ever sit there worrying about something, because there are people like us, all of us on this call, who are prepared to give you the information, or at least give you the benefit of our own anecdotal experiences.
It's not the end of the world. You will get over it. It's always with you, of course, but it doesn't affect you as much, and you learn how to live with it, and you learn how to manage it, and it just becomes a part of who you are. And you might even be like me, where you're actually grateful that you got it because of everything that it's done for me. Yeah, don't lose hope, and just keep thinking that positively, and that you can deal with it.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you so much, Jay, for joining us tonight and talking about your journey, your stories, which are so powerful for everyone watching tonight. Thank you for sharing your Medtronic journey with us tonight, and it's been really, really helpful. I hope everyone watching will take away a lot from tonight. You're fantastic Medtronic ambassadors, and from everyone here at DigiBete, thank you for coming on tonight and joining our Medtronic DigiTalks.
Thank you very much.
Tom, Seren and Jay, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. I know Tom's already said thank you, but that was amazing. I took a couple of good, lots of amazing things. I loved the cruise control analogy. Seren, ways to put your pump so a hockey stick doesn't hit. It was just amazing. But I won't, let me just check, because I can see there's some comments. Yeah, Seren's the best. Yeah, I know. It's such a wonderful talk, wasn't it? I'll go check out Seren's Instagram. Absolutely. As I say, the details are on there. Yes, we'll keep sharing that. And you can see on there that her beats_me on Instagram. So do go follow. Sounds like the Medtronic tech is really helping Seren. Great job. Yeah, I know. It was just wonderful to hear that, and the honesty in the conversations, about choosing and everything like that. It was brilliant. This is brilliant. How wonderful to hear from Seren and her dad, Jay. Thank you. As a parent, having technology like Medtronic is life-changing, and it helps my son to be an everyday normal child, enjoying things kids like doing. That's what it should be about. The tech helps reduce some worries, and he's controlling diabetes and not diabetes controlling him. Thank you, Medtronic. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree. As a parent to child with type 1, that's what you want, to them to go out and have that ice cream. Thanks so much. Right. we're going to move on to our next interview. I'm conscious of time, so I won't babble on too much, but I'm going to hand over to my wonderful colleague, Sam, who's going to speak with the equally wonderful Isha.
Hi Isha, thanks for joining us on DigiTalks today. It's lovely to have you here, and thank you for agreeing to share your experiences of living with type 1 diabetes. Yeah, if you just want to tell us your name, how old you were when you were diagnosed.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me. My name's Isha. I'm 28 years old. I have had diabetes since I was 6, so that's just about 22 years now.
So what are your go-to hypo treatments?
I do have like a handbag full of dextrose, so I typically go to them, which I don't always actually want to do. I'd rather just have some like jelly babies or yeah, so either jelly babies or dextrose or the you can get the glucose gel as well that you can just like put on your gums, and that's really fast, especially if you work out. I use that quite a bit. But mainly I try to stick to dextrose because if I have anything else to treat my blood sugar while I'm low, I'll end up having too much of it and then just go really high.
Are there any things that you like about having diabetes? And obviously, I'm sure there are things that you don't like as well. What kinds of things could you share with us on that?
So I think I probably have got more of a list of things that I like rather than a list of things that I don't like, which might be surprising, but I think that's because I was diagnosed at such a young age, I don't know life any other way. So I've just had to put a positive spin on my life how it is, rather than just constantly seeing the worst parts of it. But I like that it gives me a routine. Every morning you have to get up and look after yourself, because if you don't, you'll just end up in hospital. So it gives me a routine. It encourages me to go to the gym, because that just impacts my blood sugars if I don't start moving. So I know that it's not just about if I want to have a lazy day, I know that it's not just going to impact my body, it's also going to impact my general health and well-being, and my diabetes too. So then I also think it's made me really like disciplined about things as well and independent, because from such a young age I've had to look after myself, take my own injections, treat my hypos whenever they had happened. So I had to grow up really fast, regardless of what was going on with my friends. Like, you could be having so much fun with them, but at the same time you still have to remember that you have type 1 diabetes, so that can really set you back if you don't pay attention to it. And then for the things that I don't like, I would probably say that I don't like that if I wanted to have a massive sugary carby meal, that it would be almost impossible for my insulin to be able to meet the glycemic index of it. So if I wanted to really go all out, because with insulin there's always around like a 20 minutes wait time, I would have to really actually wait before wanting to eat exactly what I wanted to eat. And then that's probably another thing that I don't like. With diabetes, you do definitely have to have patience, because it's really hard to see like something you really want to eat, but then you've got to wait 20 minutes before you have to eat it. So I really struggle with that.
Going back to your diagnosis, all those years ago, you were quite young. So do you have any memories, and can you recall sort of your symptoms and any early memories that you want to share with us?
Yes, I was 6 years old, and I was throwing up a lot and bedwetting too, and constantly crying. I just remember it would be the middle of the night and I would just be screaming all the time. And obviously, I didn't understand why at all, and my parents didn't understand why at all. They just thought something was wrong. It was just my body was in so much pain because I was going in a severe level of DKA, and that's why I was just wetting the bed so much, and then started throwing up. And then my parents just took me straight to A&E, and then they just checked straight away my blood sugar, and that I was diabetic pretty much.
And that's it then, isn't it? You're in hospital and sort of learning very fast how to manage these things.
I was in hospital for, I felt like it was the whole of the summer holidays. So I remember just thinking that all my friends were having fun just during the summertime. And I just remember being in the hospital bed and all my family coming to visit me. And then I was actually telling my parents about this recently on the weekend, but they were asking me as well about what I remembered. And it was mainly the nurses, because my parents weren't giving me the injections. It was the nurses that were giving me the injections. And I just used to run around the entire ward, just running away from them because I was so scared. And my mum said I used to like hide under the tables as well because I didn't want to. I didn't want the injection as much as I needed it.
Hopefully that's a distant memory now for you, and it sounds like you've got a really supportive family helping you as well, which can be really helpful. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. It can be quite traumatic for some people when they get quite poorly and go into hospital. Fast forward a few years, you're not on injections anymore, and you are using some very helpful technology, or using the Medtronic hybrid closed loop, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm using the Medtronic 780G.
And how do you find that? What's your experience of using that?
Yeah, so I've been on it for 1 year now. It's been an incredible experience. I've never slept as much as I have now in my entire life. And that's not even me saying that I'm getting a ridiculous amount of sleep. I'm just getting the normal amount. So I've never had the normal amount of sleep before. I used to always wake up in the night at least like once or twice because I'd be anxious about my blood sugars or my blood sugars would change. But now I just sleep through the night and it's honestly just unbelievable. It's very difficult to explain unless you've had like 22 years of not sleeping properly.
Yeah, no, it's hard to imagine. But living that day in, day out, it must be a huge relief to have that extra peace of mind with being able to know that you can
It's
sleep through the
completely
night.
changed my life. It's the way that it has different settings on it. So there's the setting that will stop your body getting insulin when it notices that your blood sugar is getting low. And I used to suffer really badly from low blood sugars. So I was going low almost like 4 times a day, which is one of the main reasons the hospital pushed me to go on the pump. Because I was very insulin sensitive. But now I almost go low like maybe once every second week. And that's even with how much I exercise. And I honestly never imagined this being possible with my diabetes at all.
Where do you wear your Medtronic CGM and pump?
So I wear my CGM, which is the Simplera, that's on my arm. So I've got it just there.
Yeah.
And I just swap it usually from arm to arm because it's really easy to just put on my arm. And then I wear my pump, which I've just got here. I just have it, I think right now it's just on my hip, but I usually just move it around my stomach and my upper legs pretty much.
Yeah, I think everyone has their favourite sites for sensors and pumps, don't they? When you first started using the Medtronic, how did using the SmartGuard feature help your everyday diabetes management? Is that something that you can tell us a bit more about?
Yeah, of course. So when I first started using Medtronic, it was a bit of a difficult time at first, probably for the first week, because the pump has to get used to your blood sugars, so it knows exactly how much to give you and how much not to give you, and also just to get used to your general habits and your timings of doing things. It picks up on everything. So the first week it was really confusing for me, especially because you have to give it time to know how to respond to your blood sugars. And also I was always wanting to give insulin when I had to wait for it to just learn to give insulin myself. So there was a bit of like a teething process at the beginning. After the first week, I started to notice huge differences with SmartGuard mode. So the SmartGuard mode would send insulin to my body whenever my blood sugar started to change, and that would be even if my blood sugar changed like 0.5 of a mmol, rather than say getting that change when it goes above 10. So it was constantly keeping at that 5.5 millimoliters that I wanted it to be at. So I was really happy about that. It was really good, really good.
Do you have a favourite feature of using the Medtronic hybrid closed loop system?
Yeah, definitely have two favourite features, I would say. I'd say the one where you can suspend your insulin. So the pump will stop giving you insulin when it notices that you're going to go low. So if you gave too many units for the amount of carbs that you ate, and then you start to go low, or you think in your head that, oh, I'm going to go low from this, you can suspend it and then just let your body ride out those units before actually going low. And that's because you've suspended your background insulin, and now your body can use that active insulin as your background instead. Whereas when you're on the pens, you could never do that. If you ever overcalculated or anything happened just down to human error, there was no way of going back. You couldn't just like pause and stop. You just had to go low. You just had to deal with it. Whereas now you have like complete control over it, which is incredible. The reason why I got excited before was because, you know, when you have a meal, but you get hungry, but you get full of the meal, and you just don't want to eat it anymore. Before, if you'd already taken the insulin for it, you just have to eat the meals. And sometimes like you might eat something and you don't even want to eat it because it doesn't taste nice. But you still have to eat it because you took the insulin for it. Whereas now you can just suspend insulin, or you can even cancel the amount of units that you were giving. So while it's injecting 1 unit, you can stop it. So then it only gives you half a unit, which is incredible because especially if you make mistakes. Those are my favorite probably settings that it has. But I also really like the temp target. So it's where you can temporarily set a higher target of your blood sugar. Say if you're doing activities, so before I'm going to the gym, 2 hours before it, I'll set a temp target of 8 millimoles. And so that stops there being too much background insulin in my body, because prior to being on the pump, I used to go to the gym, go low, and then you're eating at the gym when you don't want to be eating at the gym. So it's really changed everything having that temporary target.
How useful is it to be able to share and follow your glucose levels?
Very useful. I would say it'd be very difficult to have diabetes and not be following your glucose levels the way that we are able to do now. I've only actually had the CGMs for about 5 years now. So I do remember what it was like not having a CGM. And it would be where you're checking your blood and then you're writing down your blood sugars every 3 hours to try and see if you can see a pattern. And that's very difficult, especially when you're a teenager and you don't really want to be doing that. Tracking's a lot harder when you're doing it manually. Whereas now we're so lucky to be able to just see it on our phone, just see it on our pump. It just changes your life and makes having diabetes like a bit more easier, I'd say.
So what diabetes technologies would you love to see developed in the future, and how do you think it would help you and others?
I'm already absolutely blown away by what we have now, especially because technology and diabetes treatment accelerated so quickly. Like in the last 5 years, we've seen the CGM, then the pump, then the hybrid, and we're getting closer to the closed loop as well. So if we really actually saw the full closed loop technology, that would be incredible. I think I'd probably like to see maybe more slimmer pumps. But then if we're talking about technology that I would love to see, then we probably wouldn't even be wanting to see a pump. We'd just want something that's almost just really small and just connected to you. But no, I'd just say like technology that's widely available technology that's everybody can have access to. I think that would be the best advancement in technology. So rather than the technical specification changing, just how available it is to people, I would say.
What final piece of advice would you give to other young people and families who live with diabetes?
Advice for young adults, I would say to just read around and learn as much as you can about it, rather than just having one source of information. because if you only have one source, you can be really limited for where that information is coming from. But I would say, like, read around, listen and speak to other diabetics as well, because we all have different stories and different experiences, and we all respond to things differently. And it's really interesting when you hear about other people's experience, and we all have like different types of advice as well, so that's really helpful. And I would also say to them to just keep just keep going, just keep moving, or be okay, because technology is changing so fast that there actually might be a time where there is like an actual cure for diabetes. But we're almost, with the pump and the hybrid pump, we're so close to it that I think that everything will be all right if they just stay as close as they can to technology. And there's also loads of communities for parents that are that have children with type 1 diabetes. I've seen that at my local hospital, so I would say get involved with communities. And I would also tell them not to be like ashamed or afraid of their child having diabetes, because it's not going to stop them really from doing anything. They can do pretty much exactly anything that another child could.
Fantastic. Well, you're certainly not letting it stop you, are you, Isha? It's fantastic that you've had such a good experience using the technology. It's really great that it's helping you so much, and we really appreciate you sharing your experiences with us tonight on DigiTalk. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Isha.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Sam. That was a fantastic interview, and Isha, amazing. And I should mention to those of you may already have spotted, Isha is live in the comments. So if you had any more questions, or you just want to say some lots of lovely things to Isha, please do pop in the comments. And I'm just actually going to read one out from Julie. Isha, thank you for sharing your journey with using technology. It's lovely to see all perspectives, and as a parent, it's great to see role models like yourself. It helps my son, and I would second that one, Julie. Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, you're just hearing that journey and seeing where you are. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Right, we are coming near to the end, and I just wanted to briefly say we're not going to share the video tonight, but if you head over to our DigiTalks page, there's a wonderful film on there from our partners, Breakthrough T1D. We've got Leslie on there who goes through all the wonderful resources they've got to help support you on your type 1 diabetes journey, about technology, lots of information on there to help you learn a bit more. And also they share their discovery days, and that's a great place where you can actually meet companies and people like Medtronic. You can go there and visit and speak to companies direct. So do take a look at DigiTalks and have a look at Leslie's wonderful film. So we are coming to the end. Thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. And thank you to Medtronic for such a fantastic event. And thank you for being in the live chat in the background. I can see there's been lots going on, which is great. I also wanted to thank the DigiBete team who are working magic in the background that you wouldn't realise. Thank you to Tom, Heather, Maddie, Rob and Sam, and for all the amazing interviews you guys have been doing. Thank you. And of course, can't go without saying another huge thank you to the wonderful ambassadors, Seren, to Dad Jay and Isha. I mean, it was inspirational talks. I got a lot out of it. I hope everyone else did. It's really empowering hearing some of these stories. So thank you again. And then just to let you know, a reminder, I mentioned earlier about you can find out more about Medtronic on the DigiBete website. There's links there, the QR code links in the chat as well. So do go take a look. You'll get lots more information on Medtronic there as well. Some great films as mentioned. And you can also, for more information, go direct to Medtronic's website. And again, we've put a link to the QR code on the screen there for you as well. How did you find the event? We'd love to hear your comments. I know people who have already been commenting, but it would be great, pop a comment in the chat. We'd love to hear what you thought about tonight's event. And we will also, coming on to the next slide, you can actually give us a feedback on DigiTalk series, particularly this tech series. We'd love to know what you thought about tonight, about the series. Have you found it helpful? Please use the QR code. And I think we'll put some links in the chat, and it can help us going forward as well. What else you would like to see on these DigiTalks. And a reminder as well, you want to find out more about technology. We have lots of resources on DigiBete website. As I mentioned before, please do get speak with your clinic if you can get please speak with your diabetes team, the clinic, to get a code to the DigiBete app, where you can get information that's tailored content to your age. And there's great resources on coping with diabetes and supporting you there, and also the peer support button, the new connect button. So do speak to your team about getting a code for the app as well. And then, as mentioned, you can contact us direct at hello@digibete.org. On our website, as I mentioned, we do have lots of information on there. This is a direct link to the technology page. It gives you a great overview of technology, what hybrid closed loop is, what pumps are, and MDIs, and all the different ways of insulin. So do take a look. And again, you can link through to the Medtronic page through there, and you can see that there's also resources in different languages as well. So do take a look. And yes, we'll put a link in the chat for that as well. And a thank you, and to highlight as well that you can find lots more information on our partner resources at Breakthrough T1D. As mentioned, there's some great films from Leslie who goes through everything, but also links to their discovery days. And Diabetes UK have got some great content and resources on there too. So do take a look on the QR codes. And again, we can put some links in the chat. There's lots out there for you. And a reminder, it would be wonderful if you could fill out the technology survey. We just want to, it'd be lovely to hear how you're finding technology. It will help DigiBete as well, you know, to help support the community, getting resources that you might need in the future. And we'll just, you know, it'd be just lovely to hear what you're thinking about tech in general and how you feel about it. So do try and have a look at that. And finally, as I mentioned, this is part of a Tech Talk series. You can watch the playback of all of our events on DigiTalks page, so please do take a look. As I mentioned before, there's some wonderful stories like you heard tonight from the Medtronic ambassadors. There's so much to have a look on there, so please do take a look at any time. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this evening. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and do keep an eye on the DigiTalks page for any future events that we will be putting together. Take care.